Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
All right, happy playoff hump day as the Lightning get set for a huge Game 2 tonight in Toronto. Hard to imagine a bigger game than we've seen since we took the Canadians out for the second cup. It's a huge game tonight for the Lightning, so we'll preview that this morning. Kasey Hudson's going to join us, who covers the Lightning and the Bucs for Pewter Reports, so we'll get a little double dip from Kasey Hudson at 10:30. Leo Haggerty will join us at 10:45 from Amped Up Sports and former NFL scout. We'll talk about the Bucs draft and kind of put that to bed a little bit. Look forward to minicamp. And Justin Bronca is going to join us at 11:30. He is the head coach and manager of the Tampa Bay Rugby Club, which has won another state championship. The men's and women's team have won state championships, and now the heading on to the regionals and perhaps another national championship in their future. They've won one recently. So we'll talk to Justin about the explosion in rugby players here in Tampa Bay. And I didn't even know we had such a great club, but we do. So we'll talk about that as well. You can always reach us at FanStreamJP, at Nick Geddes News, or at the JP Peterson Show. If you want to comment on anything, we'll get your comments in there. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can comment there, and we'll put your comments up on the screen so you can interact with us. Lots to get to. We got Lightning, the Rays with a big comeback win last night. Some very interesting NBA action to talk about, and, of course, some Bucs news as well. Nick Geddes joining me this morning as you pump out the teas this morning. You can thank you for that, so everybody will know what's coming up on the show. Big show today.
Big day today in Tampa Bay, which they're never letting up, are they? Never letting up. Even last night was a weeknight with just a Rays game that's late. Thought I had to wait till eternity to get it.
And I got to be honest, I crashed about 7th or 8th inning, did not see the Zunino fireworks, and I woke up this morning and went, wow, 10-7? I went to bed, it was 5-3, and then 10-7? What the hell was that?
One of the craziest games in Major League history. And when we get into the Rays later, I have a crazy stat to bring you about last night's game.
Oh, interesting. All right. Cannot wait. All right. So we got lots of good stuff coming up. Interesting to note that watching Get Up this morning on ESPN, their second story of the day is something we talked about yesterday, the possible signing of Julian Edelman, which might bring Gronk back as well, bring them back as a team. Now, Gronk told Sports Illustrated that, yes, if we can get Julian to sign with the Bucs, then I'm coming back too, like a package deal. Now, which is kind of interesting, to say the least, because there's a lot of different layers going on here. Now, first caveat is, yes, this interview was done at Gronk Beach. And Julian was there with Gronk. Actually, Julian, I think, spent some time with him last week. So they have been talking. They have been, I don't know if they've been out throwing the football with Tommy Boy, but who knows? Who knows? We kicked it around yesterday, and we're thinking, well, Chris Godwin may be a little late getting back. Signed Cage for the outside. You got Godwin in the slot. Who's played more slot snaps with Tom Brady than Julian Edelman? Does he have anything left? Who knows? Who knows? He's been away from the game for a year. He's going to be 36 this year. He was in bad shape when he left, but, so was Gronk. And he came back and been pretty damn good the last couple of years. So you never know. Is it the key to the season? I don't think so. But I think it's a good idea, especially if it will re-energize Gronk. They talked about a little bit on Get Up, as I mentioned this morning. Their feeling was Dan Graziano basically saying, I think this is more, margarita talk at the beach than it is actual to come to fruition. I don't know. I mean, we know how familiarity is a very important thing with Tom Brady. He talks about it all the time. Continuity wins in the NFL. He's obviously the poster child for that, having won the 6 titles in New England. That being said, there were a lot of people going in and out of those lineups, but one of the constants was Julian Edelman. So, and it's not all about how fast you run run the 40 anymore. It's especially when it comes to a position like that. It's, can you get open? Can you get separation? Do you run the routes that Tommy likes? And obviously they have great chemistry together. I happen to think it would be a damn good idea, except if this is a money play for Gronk and Edelman, because, there is a business side to this. And if Edelman wants, $7-8 million like Gronk does, or Gronk wants $8 to $10 million, and it's probably going to be just a 1-year deal, not something you can really spread out a lot. I mean, you could figure ways to do it, I guess, but it has to be a reasonable deal. And I know it's all about this year, and it's all about it's all about Tommy, and I'm all with that. This is about this year. So I would, if I'm the Bucs, I would stretch a little bit. If Brady says, "Look, I think this is a really good idea. Let's work. We've worked out together. He's still got a little jump above." I'm not totally against it. And especially if it's going to bring Gronk back. And I heard, RG3 said this morning. He said, without Gronk, the Bucs are a contender. With Gronk, they're the favorites. So the question is to you Bucs fans, if it's a package deal, you want him back? I don't even think that's a question. Absolutely. 100%. And, is it, fraught with danger? A guy 36 years old that hasn't played in a year? Yeah, absolutely. No question. But guess what? There are no guarantees in this league. There's no guarantees in sports. So to me, it's up to Brady. And if Brady thinks this is something that's a good idea, and I think Brady is competitive enough and serious enough about his craft that if they worked out Edelman and he still had some burst and he still could play, then you sign off on it. But I think Brady would be honest enough to say, nah, I don't see it. I know it's a bit of a tough call. I'll be interested to hear what you Buc fans think. But to me, right now, I think Gronk is on the fence. And I think we have to have Gronk to win the Super Bowl. I really do believe that. Neither one of these tight ends that were drafted are going to be Gronk. Sorry, that's not happening, especially this year. So if it is indeed a package deal, why not? It's not going to be a long-term deal that's going to crush you. I think it's a good idea. Joe F says on our chat here, with the wide receiver issues we had last year, bring him in for a shot. Why not? Yeah. I mean, it's not a guaranteed contract. If he makes the team, he makes the team. Otherwise, you move on. I don't think that's such a bad idea. And who knows if this is even serious, but we did see that video of him and Brady and Edelman. I don't know if that was an old video or what that video was, but there was some video that was put out a couple weeks ago.
Well, there might be some room in the cap, actually, from what the Bucs have left, because I don't think they're bringing back Ndamukong Suh at all.
No, I don't think so either.
If you've got to read into what the coaches have said, what they haven't said, the last few days at these press conferences, I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah.
So there's an opening there. That wouldn't have been $9 million for him.
Yeah. I'd rather spend the money on defense. And I was thinking in the draft, they got one defensive back in the 5th round, Zion McCollum, but don't forget we also signed Logan Ryan and Keanu Neal. So those are two new guys that are coming into the secondary that are going to help out tremendously, and frankly, better players than draft picks, because draft picks are more talented, obviously, but can they be as effective this year? No, I'd rather go with the veteran guys because it's about this year. And the rebuild's coming, gang. The rebuild's coming, but who cares? Don't even want to think about it. It's down the road. It's Brady year 3, and that's all we really care about right now. All right, let's move on to the Lightning. The Lightning did skate yesterday. They did some press interviews. It's a lot of blah, blah, blah. We're going to play it for you, but I think there's some insight in there. And I think the biggest insight you can take out of these interviews is they're not panicking. This is a team that's lost game 1 10 separate times in the John Cooper era and come back in one series. So it's a long series. Toronto still has not won a playoff series. They've won one game. And it was impressive. And I think if you're a Lightning fan, it's hard not to be concerned. But if we've not learned one thing about this team is they don't lose 2 in a row in the playoffs. They don't do it. So until they do, I'm not going to worry.
I don't even want to bring it up as bad omen, but it's a fact. The last time they lost 2 games in a row in the playoffs, I'll dance around even saying it. We know.
Yes.
We know when it was.
Say it.
Not saying it.
Say it.
I'm not saying it. I will not say it.
I'll say it. Columbus. That was the last time. And you know what? That is the thing that has. I hope they remember it. I hope they remember it well, because that's the thing that's motivated to win 2 cups in a row.
I get it, but I think the whole thing that is just Lightning. Everybody
forget your past. You're doomed to.
I get it. But I think everybody likes to freak out right after the first game.
Everybody.
And I saw so many people on Twitter saying this is going to be like Columbus all over again. It's like everybody's still got like PTSD over that.
Right.
They really do. And I don't know if it's ever going to go away, because he just won 2 Stanley Cups. And clearly we're still talking about what happened in Columbus, 3 years ago, which I want to just forget.
Right.
And we probably should forget. Every series is different. This is a completely different team, by the way, than the one that was over there. We've already talked about the issues the other day. Kucherov is the one player, in my opinion, that needs to be much, much better. I don't want to see any of those stupid penalties from him. I want to see the composure there. And I get it. It's hard. The crowd is into it. They're chanting your name. They're probably chirping you the entire time.
Yep.
I get it's hard, but you're a world-class player. And Lightning's world-class players need to play like it for them to get back into this.
They've seen it all. Yeah. There's nothing that's new to them. And if it was just all the new players looking overmatched the other night, I might be a little bit worried. But we have to remember our core players played like crap. I mean, Hedman played awful. Stamkos played awful. Kucherov was terrible. Vassie was I mean, that's not going to happen again. I'm sorry. Not happening.
And like Brian said yesterday, Brian Bradley, when he was on yesterday, I kind of agreed with him. And I told you earlier in the show, I thought that 4 of the goals, maybe, the Lightning just gave it to them.
Yeah.
They made it very easy for them. So
absolutely.
Steve Simmons said the Toronto played the best playoff game he's seen in 30 years covering the team.
Yep.
I have to say, if that's the best they've played in 30 years, I think the Lightning have a chance, because I still think the Lightning gave them a lot of chances that they really didn't have to.
No, that was, and again, it may be a sense of false confidence for Toronto. They think that's all it's going to take this team out. I agree with you. That's foolhardy, and I don't think they're that dumb. And I think Toronto knows how important this game is tonight. It's so, all of these Stanley Cup games just become so huge. By the way, before we get to Coop, just to mention, and we'll play the sound later, Louis Domingue, our boy Louis Domingue last night. Are you kidding me? Louis Domingue, who spent most of the year in the AHL, was called up as emergency basis for the Penguins. Last night, Smith got hurt.
Yeah.
And he had to come in overtime. He hasn't played in the NHL game in months and months and months. He comes up and he goes in there in the second overtime, makes 17 saves, and ends up winning the game. What the hell? Let's play the audio. Let's cue it up.
In front of hostile. You talk about hostile crowd.
Oh my God!
MSG of all places.
The Rangers. It was a hell of a game. The Rangers went up 2-0. Sid the Kid came back and just unbelievable. Second period, they score 3. They tie it up late, and then they go to overtime. And Louis Domingue has to come in, and between the first and second overtimes, he decided, I'm not going to play. I'm going to have a big old meal. Here, listen to this interview.
I think we believe. I actually had quite the meal in between the first and the second overtime. I didn't expect going in, but maybe it sustained my energy. So it was cool, though. It was cool to be part of that.
You say quite the meal. What was it?
Some spicy pork and broccoli. Not the best. I think we.
Not the best. Now I know why there was nobody around him.
Spicy pork and broccoli.
Nobody wanted to get near the goal. He had the old spicy broccoli.
He ate that in between the first and second OT, is what he said.
I feel sorry for the people behind the glass right behind him. Fogging it up.
I just want to know, did they go to the concession stand and get that?
I know.
Who's got spicy pork and broccoli just chilling in the
Hey, Louis, you want some spicy pork?
Oh, man.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
I tell you what, when he was here, he was a character. Do you remember when the Lightning used to do those little videos when they won the game and they had their song?
Oh yeah,
and the social media. Remember, Louis had his little VIP section, where he would screen everybody that came in first. He was always a character.
Louis. Oh my God, so good. Spicy pork and broccoli. Not the best. Well, whatever, man. Rocket fuel. It worked for you. So, Pittsburgh wins in overtime on a Gensel redirect right in front of the net. Great theater last night. The TV was good last night. It was really. Did you see John Morant?
I did.
Did you see what John Morant did?
Points, yeah.
Not only 47 points, but he scored the last 15 points.
Yeah.
And did you see what he did at Jordan Poole? Oh my God! Somebody, your undergarments are on the freaking court, brother. He literally spun him around. He was like looking for him, like which way did he go? Whoa, which way did he go? Which way did he go? He couldn't find him. He's doing a little step back, little mid-range jumper on you. 15 points to end the game. Could not stop him. That little left-hand scoop shot, steps back, knocks down a three. He's now the third player, 22 and under, to score 45 points in a playoff game. The other two guys, Michael and Kobe. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I'm sorry, LeBron and Kobe. LeBron and Kobe. So the Grizzlies they tie things up with the Warriors, and Dylan Brooks, by the way, knocked Gary Payton Jr. out of the game, out of the series with a fractured elbow and a really, really dirty hit. Steve Kerr said he broke the code.
Payback for Draymond.
Yeah, I think.
Which, by the way, I got a different angle of Draymond. Mm-hmm. He deserved to be ejected. I got it. There was a different angle. The only one ESPN didn't show. He actually elbowed him in the face and then grabbed him, yanked him by the jersey, and brought him down.
Yeah, I think
that was just payback.
And maybe that's what they were thinking. All right, on to back to the Lightning here. So Coop and Patrick Maroon talked to the media yesterday in Toronto after really was the worst loss in playoff history for the Lightning. It was as ugly can be, but thank God it only counts one. And that's how the Lightning are treating us. Here's Coop.
And the mood today is much different than it was last night. So I don't know. You build on things you have in the past. Last night was ugly. Let's make no bones about it. But this isn't the first time that we've lost a game one and won the series. So it's not ideal, but it's not like it's uncharted water either.
What does your group do to recenter itself? What historically in these moments?
Well, it's the classic. You got to turn the page, learn from what we did last night or what we didn't do, and move on. It's different than during the regular season. You're on a plane to Ottawa or Montreal or something. You're complete. It's more. Routine. Playoffs, it's one team, you dive in a little bit more, and we've got a feel for what this is going to be in the building and the players, and but we got to dig in a little deeper. It was way too easy a night for their goaltender, and we're a proud group, so I'm not worried about these guys.
What did you make of Vasilevsky's performance, and what do you expect out of him?
Well, I don't know. One goalie actually had to work, and the other goalie didn't have to work that hard. And so the number looks bad, but let's be honest. Marner's was an open net on, a bad sort by us, and Camp was a breakaway. And let's look at the other things he did. He stopped, Nylander on a breakaway. Yeah. Go down the list. So. Vasi's the man, and I think no other guy went back there, but him. And I think if we don't have him in the net, it was probably going to be a lot worse last night.
I think
that's true.
In previous playoff runs, the past 2 years, a lot of them was 3-1 kind of games. You didn't really lose a game like you lost last night. How, when you haven't had that kind of experience, do you bring?
So if I thought. Again, if I was if you're going to dissect the game, just the way it played out. First of all, the amount of power plays both ways in the first two periods is kind of unheard of for what happened. Yes. And if you took just the 5-on-5 play, in the end, was there really did either team get to flex their muscle a little bit? Not really. And you can sit here and say, well, Tampa didn't generate it too much. Well, I'm not so sure Toronto generated the whole time either. Again, maybe the score had something to do with it. So the way the game plays out, but let's let's call it what it was. I mean, we gave up a shorty. We gave up. But I think, just on the power play alone, we got outchanced.
On the 5 minute one,
It's interesting here is
so
Cooper deals with
that's
national media.
To me, that's an aberration, and so I hope it is anyway. And we didn't take advantage of a situation that was presented to us, and Toronto did. So good on them. But I don't know. It was a weird game last night. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this is obviously the way Cooper is presenting this to his players. And, who is better at keeping things in perspective and keeping your team motivated than John Cooper? I mean, the results speak for itself. And I think this is exactly the way you play with your team. It's like, look, this is a weird game. A lot of 5 minutes, a lot of power play time. It wasn't really 5. Nobody got in a rhythm. It was just a weird setup for us. We didn't have our legs. I'm going to put a lot into it, And I think that's the way you handle it. You don't want your team. You don't put any doubt into your team whatsoever that maybe this other team is better than you. No, you call it what it is. It's an aberration. It's an aberration. We've never seen this the Lightning play like this. Now, I think there's a subtext to it that you guys didn't give enough effort either, which Cooper has called out before. I think he's called it out before. I don't really hear him saying it here, but I think privately he's probably on their ass like, okay, that's not good enough, and you guys know it.
Yeah. What was the point you were making there about the national media again?
I think it's interesting the way he handles the national media because obviously he knows our guys, Joe Smith and the guy Corey Long and all the guys and ladies that normally cover the team. And I think there's a kind of a back and forth rapport. And when the national media comes here, it's a little different. It's a little bit more professional and on the because it's a bigger stage. Appropriately, if I might add as well. So I just think it's interesting to see how he handles and that particular question. He was not going to let the narrative of, oh my God, Toronto is so much better than you. How is your team gonna, handle this? He's not going to let that narrative fly. Do you see how he just cut him off? And I love that. Yeah, I think that's really good. If I was giving him some media training advice that obviously he does not need, boom. That's what you do. Stroke that narrative, cut it off right there.
Well, the guy holding the microphone, I think, had the little SN on there for Sportsnet. So,
of course, we know where it's coming from.
Of course, we know where it's coming.
So, I think it's interesting that, and I think this is a job in the modern day sports world. Well, everything, every comment is on Twitter and in the media everywhere, and the players read it. They're online. They're listening to it. They're watching. Coaches know this. Smart ones do. And they put their messages out through the media, and they also try to control the media narrative because look, the most powerful part of any athlete's body is his mind. Let's just be honest about that. You have to be mentally confident and in the right space in order to perform at a championship level. And Coop knows that. So you do your best to go out and control the narrative in these press conferences. And I think he did a really good job of it right there. Do we have Maroon?
Yes.
I thought Maroon was pretty good yesterday too. And here, here's a guy that's won the last 3 Stanley Cups. So knows a little bit something about how you handle these playoffs.
I think we just did to ourselves. We created, stuff that we usually don't do. And, but you got to get their hats. I mean, Toronto's a really good hockey team and we're a good hockey team. And we just found a way to just hurt ourselves again. And, but we have game 2 to look forward to now. I mean, it's a long series. I mean, there's going to be ups and downs throughout the series. You got to know how to control it, know how to take care of it, nip it in the bud as fast as you can, and come to work today and be prepared ready for game 2. So, that's what's good about the playoffs.
There you go.
It's a fast transition into the next game and something to forget about. So, but we know what we need to do to be a good hockey team, and we know what it takes to win. So we just got to find ways to create that and be ready for game 2.
The experience that you guys have picked up over the last couple of years, understanding, as you said, what it takes to win, going on to win.
Asking if your experience
more so after a night like
comes
this,
into play after getting your ass kicked like that.
Yeah, I mean, game 1, would you call that a panic? Okay, so I don't know how to answer your question.
Controlling the narrative.
if we were in a different situation, yeah, I would answer that question a little differently. But like I said, we got to come out and play Tampa Bay Lightning hockey and focus on what we can control, and that's going out there competing every single night and just going out there. The coaches can give us all the information we can. It's how we're going to handle that situation. So I didn't know how to handle that. Sorry.
Let's start the line ball at the end.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Not going to comment on the brawl at the end when he was tuning up. What's his face?
Yeah, for sure. Just got to be ready and play a heavy hockey game and
heavy hockey
go out there and kind of do our thing.
You're trying to amp up their physicality. How much is the physical play part of the identity of this team?
Physical play.
Say it again, sir.
How much of the identity of this team is the physicality? And that's sort of
Much of the identity of the Lightning physical team.
We just got to play a heavy hockey game and we just got to play fast. So I think, think of playing heavy as, playing fast, getting in the D zone, closing quick, breaking out fast, finishing your checks when you have an opportunity to finish your checks, play heavy on the forecheck, finish when you can, every shift you can, and, just play the right way. And I think those hits come into play. Those hits get lined up, and you just got to – we're a heavy team, and we got to play like it.
What kind of role is the experience that you guys have going to play in a series like this? I mean, you talk about having to ride the ups and downs of the series. You guys have a bunch of guys in that room have won 2 Stanley Cups in the last 2 years. I mean, how much does that come into play?
For sure. Obviously, we have the experience. We have the character guys in the room. We have the the leadership in the room that knows what it takes to win and knows how hard it is just to even get to where we got the last 2 years. It's not easy, and it doesn't matter what team is getting there, and it's a hard grind. It's a some series will take longer than others, some series don't. You just got to find a way to grab the ups and downs, and how to handle your emotions, and how to handle adversity a little bit, and just try to control it as much as you can, and focus on what you can control, and that's always the next game, right? So you can only focus on one game at a time, one shift at a time, just making sure every shift you go out there, make it like it's your last shift, play hard, and because you never know when your next shift's going to come. So you got to make sure it's the most important one too. So every shift's important in the playoffs, and you got to make sure you're doing the right things and playing hard. And I think we have those guys in the room that know and understand.
Well, that's exactly what you'd expect them to say. So tonight they got to come out and do it, and we'll see. It's going to be one hell of a hockey game. Cannot wait to see it. It's going to be physical, but I think the Lightning have to be focused on not the physical play, but getting the damn puck in the net.
But I do want to see them get the first shot in. I'm not saying you got to go full Kyle Clifford and knock somebody and get yourself kicked out of the game.
And he won't be playing tonight, by the way. He's out.
Yeah,
suspended.
He'd be out. I think
rightfully so.
I think the other late scrum, they all just got $2,500 fines, whatever. Move on. But I'm not saying you got to do that. But let's set the tone. Let's set the tone. I think they set the tone with that hit, and the Lightning got pushed around a little bit more than we're used to seeing.
And our forecheck has to be so much better. It's got to be faster, and it has to be more effective, especially if we're on a power play and need to get the puck in the zone and get set up. That would help. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Kasey Hudson's going to join us, and we'll chat with her. She covers the Lightning and the Buccaneers for Pewter Reports. So we'll get a double dip from those two big stories that are happening right now. Stay with us. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. The world economy is in chaos and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You can reach him at PalermoPA.com. If you have any issues with some cracks in your stucco, which is very, very common here in the Tampa Bay area, many of the companies doing the work used faulty stucco over the past decade. He has been prosecuting these cases and getting money for his clients over millions and millions of dollars. So you think you have a case, PalermoPA.com. It's a free call, and he will let you know. All right, without further ado, we'd like to bring in the lovely Kasey Hudson, who's been covering the Bucs for Pewter Report and also working with the Lightning as well. Welcome aboard to the Lightning, by the way. Good to have you with our fine back-to-back team. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm better than the Bolts were on Monday, but we're wishing luck for how that rolls out this evening. But I definitely can't complain. I'm in a great day to be in Tampa Bay. I can't hear you, JP.
You got me now? You got me now? Oh, sorry about that. I was reminding our audience, for those who don't watch us on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, they can see your lovely face if they are just listening on the audio. So switch on over and you can see the lovely Kasey Hudson and my ugly mug as well. So tell me exactly what you're doing with the Lightning as well as we go through the playoffs now moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So I cover them actually through my own digital media company, because as well as doing on camera, I make graphics and hype videos and all that fun stuff. Thanks to COVID, we kind of had to figure out how to be efficient and appealing and attractive online. So that was exciting. It was just something that I dabbled in, and it tended to take off. And then luckily, I've just kind of had a rotation working with a couple people from the Lightning, hopping on pregame shows. Most recently, I got to hop on the Valley Sports pregame show, Puck Drop Live with Kaylee Mizell. So it's been awesome. I've covered the Lightning for about going on 4 years now, and just looking to dig in there a little deeper. I'm a bit of a geek, so I don't like to just be an update person that says, hey, this is how the game went. I like to figure out more statistically and analytically. So that's kind of the learning that I'm going about right now.
Well, I also caught you on the Pewter Report podcast. You did a fantastic job with John Ledyard on there. So I got to ask you about the Bucs draft. Did it go as you thought? What kind of grade would you give the Bucs? What were the highlights for you?
I'm going to give them a solid C, and the guys will laugh when they see this. I love working with the Pewter team. They've been so educational and so grooming, and just honestly like an overall great group of guys to work with. I started with them in September. And so draft-wise, they know that I kind of hate how the draft went.
I'm kind of with you on that. I was underwhelmed. to say the
Very
least.
underwhelmed. Yeah. And I know a lot of it pertains to the fact that this draft class, at least in my opinion, was kind of it was a lot of guys who were in a 5th year, even weirdly a 6th year. The COVID schedules were a mess. A lot of these guys didn't play or lost years. So with all that, I think that played into the fact that it was very anticlimactic. But I thought that the Bucs were maybe going to try to load up or add to their wide receiver group, seeing as how they had a major depletion this past season with the injuries, a lot of question marks. Then you're waiting for one of your top guys to come back from a big injury, and you never know what an athlete's going to look like or what that timeline of him being himself again is going to, come back. So I was kind of hoping that they were going to take precautionary measures there and pick up, one of these few guys that showed a promising future in the NFL. That didn't happen. The 2 tight end situation I didn't get. I did want them to get a tight end because we don't know what's going to happen with Bronca. And either way, they need to get somebody else in there that's going to be a strong blocker. So all in all, I just didn't really see much of the strategy that I thought was going to get picked up heading into the draft.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with you on that. I think Logan Hall could definitely be an impact player this year, but there are questions about his ability. Is he too light on the interior? Is he going to get pushed around when he gets to the NFL? I think that's a legitimate question. You look at Luke Gadecki, you don't want to question Jason Light as far as finding these small school offensive linemen, but this guy's pedigree is not great. I love him. He's a quote glass eater. That's great. But he had no high school offers. He's a 220-pound tight end coming out, got to Central Michigan, added a lot of weight, and looked to be a pretty good player at the Senior Bowl. But again, him making it and being a solid starter with that kind of background is a long shot. Not saying he can't do it. Not saying he's not a special player. We just don't know. But I look at some of the other drafts around the league, and I'm like, and the thing that I said from day one was, you should have taken at least a shot, and maybe they did, to get Jermaine Johnson. He was falling in the draft and was 1 pick ahead of you. And I believe what the Jets gave up to get him, I thought could have given up at least or the same amount, and they only had to drop 1 spot. So I thought that was a chance for them to be aggressive and get a real impact player in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the part that kind of shocked me too, is that some of the maneuvers that they really could have made in the first round rather than trading out. And the guys and I did, I only hopped on one of the draft simulators, but they did multiple. And there was only one guy on our team that had them trading out. And while it made some sense, I just didn't see it to be the more realistic offer, because that round 1 pick is your chance to get somebody who more than likely is going to be progressive in the NFL. Then as you start dwindling down, you're looking at more developmental players. Right. So I definitely agree. I thought that they would have done something a little different rather than trade out to get Logan Hall in the second. And, I was a big fan of Christian Watson. I went to the Senior Bowl. I got to watch a lot of these players. I was still underwhelmed by, 70% of them. But he was somebody that I saw, you have that home team pedigree coming back here. But then you also have the fact that he showed a lot of athleticism that could be coached up to be very significant for this Bucs offense. So I didn't love the draft. I thought we were going in so many different directions.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. What do you make of this scuttlebutt of Julian Edelman perhaps signing with the Buccaneers? Is that a good idea? What do you think?
Okay, for the sake of bromances finding themselves again, we can always look for an entertaining headline between the bromance. We can look for some entertainment on the field in waves. I don't know about consistently, but I just get nervous for these guys that were just like, hey, come down to Tampa and do something, because I was psyched about Richard Sherman. I loved him as a player when he was in his prime, and then I had high hopes for him coming to Tampa Bay, and then it was just kind of like, he's really done. And so Edelman, he's the only person that knows the full extent of why he chose to retire, aside from the fact of wanting to spend more time with his kid, which is awesome. But to bring it, I'm just kind of tired of the Russian roulette with veterans. I think they need to really focus on the future of this team and building, developing, and growing. Because once Tom Brady, look at how everybody reacted when Tom Brady left. Nobody knew how this team was going to function. It was like people were already counting the Bucs out from even making playoffs just because Tom Brady was gone. That reaction alone should tell you where your efforts need to go. Development, progression, the younger guys, people getting reps. Joe Tryon needs to be seen a lot more on the field. Like, those people are who this team needs to start revolving around.
Well, I would push back a little bit and say when you have Brady coming back, it's all about Brady. You still, I still think you're all in for this year. Developmental things have got to be secondary, but I understand what you're saying. At some point, we're going to have to rebuild, and it's going to be ugly. And I'm pretty much resigned to that. I'm like, we did see a glimpse of it. I was almost like, oh God, here it comes, and this is going to be ugly. But at least
that was a heartbrik tour for 41 days.
But I was like, at least we didn't give away our draft picks yet. At least we still have that. We still can build on some things. And then, and all the while, I still thought Brady was coming back. I still thought there was and I know the Bucs did. They really did. I think they played their cards perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Let him know, hey, we're not giving you away. Sorry, buddy. If you're going to play this year, it's going to be here. And so if you want to come play, you're not going to Miami, you're not going to San Francisco. We're going to play Blaine Gabbert. We'll go with Kyle Trask, or you can come back, but we're not trading you. And I think once he realized that, he's like, all right, you got me. There I go. I'm coming back. And now we're all in. Everything has to be about Brady from here on out. And if Edelman brings Gronk back, because I think Gronk's still on the fence. I was told by somebody close to him that when Brady retired, he was done. Like, no way is he coming back. And only because of Brady coming back is he even considering it. So that's why I think the Edelman thing, if that's what it takes to get him back, I'm in.
Yeah, well, I agree with that because we know what Gronk is still capable of.
Right.
And I liked Julian Edelman. I mean, that connection, there's very few connections that you can challenge in the NFL or any major league sport. And, some of the players that Tom played with is very clear and concise what that connection is and what that production rate could look like. Like I said, I'm just nervous because some of the vets that came in were just very meh.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're fragile, very fragile. Kasey Hudson joining us here, covering the Bucs and the Lightning. So we'll slide back over to the Lightning. I mean, obviously we mentioned earlier, horrible game one, but if anybody can come back from that, it's this team. Why do you think this will be a much different team tonight?
Well, first of all, I think they kind of went into game one overly confident, if you will. The last matchup, they beat Toronto 8-1. Granted, Matthews wasn't much of an issue at the moment, but it's the fact that I think they came in with a lack of confidence, which means they were waiting for that momentum swing to come to them rather than creating that momentum swing. Something else, as much as I love this team, you can't just I know power plays create those momentous swings, but you cannot rely on the power play to be that ignition. You have to come out fast like they started to do, and not the last two games, but the games prior to that. Yeah. So I think that they all announced in practice yesterday in the press conferences and whatnot that they already started to make those adjustments so that they come in with a whole different head about them heading into game two. But I think you're 100% correct. If there's a team that's going to bounce back, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, I just think the core of this team is too good to put two bad games back to back. They've shown over the last couple of years that they don't lose back-to-back games, and Vasi especially does not lose back-to-back games. And I'm hoping that maybe Toronto will be a little overconfident tonight after what they experienced, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then for them to finally be back in front of fans, they just have all these factors that create such a hype, which is cool for them. But I agree. I think that will level them up to come in overly confident because now it's all over Twitter that William Nylander, he had food poisoning and that's the only reason why it was this. So the excuses and the little crutches are coming in, heading in before the game. And you love to see that because that can be exposed in the first period for sure. But I agree. This core is fantastic. I love the new additions in Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel. I was very nervous at first because I was talking to Kayla Maisel about it. I feel like our forecheck game just kind of went out the window when we lost that third line and Barkley, Goodrow, and Coleman and Gordy. So to see what Nick Paul and Hagel bring to this team, and now that they're starting to get their feet about them, but then the other thing is Cal Foote can't be your best defensive player tonight either. And that was what made me nervous Monday night. Like the defense has to regroup and come in way stronger than ever. And I feel like they keep scratching Bogo because he costs a lot of penalty minutes sometimes, which I love to see, but strategically you can't have your guys in the box. You need them on the ice, generating offense. So I think that they're going to definitely have a leg up this evening, making those changes.
Yeah, and Sergey is in a funk. I don't know what's going on with him. And we've said this. We've been talking about this for about a month on this show because, you hear rumblings around the building and whatnot that, and also around the NHL that these Russian players are really struggling with the war and what's going on. A lot of them can't get money to their families. They can't contact their families. Some of them have extended family in Ukraine. I can't even imagine what that's like for these players. I'm not saying that's specifically what's going on with Sergey or Vasi or anybody, but if it is, it wouldn't shock me. But
not at all.
He's got to play better. They all do.
Yeah, and I could see that being a factor that plays into it because they're in a position where they can't express themselves. They can't speak against what's going on from their culture, and then they can't really. They can't be expressive. They can't show any sort of emotion in any direction, and that's got to be something that's going to create some amount of distraction mentally for sure. So I definitely I would say that I think it's a bit of a factor, but I agree. I was thinking that Sergachev was really going to kind of break the scene that much further this season. What I will say that I do appreciate is that the majority of the team, if not the whole team, is the most healthy they've been heading into these playoffs versus the last 2 seasons. So, and I have confidence in their depth, the guys that they have. A lot of these other teams in playoffs, they have that guy, that one great forward or winger or that one great defenseman, whereas the Lightning have 3 greats on, wingers and forwards and all these other positions. So they have that depth. And we've seen how they have that next man mentality. I think that's almost a Tampa Bay thing in general.
Yeah,
we've seen
absolutely,
it to such a ladder. So yeah, I think that cleaning up a few of those things. Now, this is the one thing I will say that I don't love that I wish would change, but I'm not a coach. I prefer having Hangel Cirelli and Killorn on a line together. I feel like that chemistry was really starting to come in
Yeah.
And then I know that they're probably trying to alleviate Point a little bit because the commentators kept alluding to the fact that he's pushing through something. But in every press conference the past couple weeks, he said that he feels fine. But I feel like changing that line was kind of a
Yeah. Well, I think we might see Coop play with the lines tonight. We shall see. Kasey, great to have you on. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media. I know you're out there. You got a lot of different things going on. So tell us what you're up to so everybody knows and can follow you.
All the running around. I partner up with a company called U-Nation Tampa, which lets you know about all the places that you can go watch all the exciting sporting events, like the watch parties while the boys are away, or if you can't get into a playoff game, there's that. But as for socials across the board, it's at the Sports Case, TheSportsKase. So it's basically my name at the end of it on Instagram, on Twitter, and as well as YouTube. It's at the Sports Case LLC. So I'll be doing a quick little show before the game tonight, and then hopefully be at the game Friday and Sunday with you guys. And yeah, right now the focus is hockey, that the draft is behind us.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Kasey, great stuff. We look forward to having you on the show again. Really appreciate it. We'll see you Friday at Emily Arena. Thanks.
Yep. See you, JP.
All right. I will take a quick break. When we come back, the decidedly less attractive Leo Haggerty will join us, as we all are. So, and he'll have some thoughts on the draft as well. So stay with us. Quick break. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home Get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and
Let's rock. This is Fan Stream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. You can catch up with him at palermopa.com. There's a lot of companies out there, construction companies, that have been using substandard materials over the last decade, and Christopher Palermo has brought a lot of those cases. So if you have any issues with the building and construction of your residential or commercial property, palermopa.com. And it's a free call, by the way. So if you have some cracks in your stucco and you called your builder and they said, that's just settling, don't worry about it, it's not that big a deal, don't believe them, because there could be water damage behind there. That has happened to a ton of people here locally. And the builders, of course, and the insurance companies don't want to pay, but they are liable, and you need an attorney to make sure that happens. So know your rights. You got them. So go to palermopa.com and just call him. It's a free consultation, and he'll let you know if you have a case or not. All right, let's bring in our decidedly less attractive next guest, Leo Haggerty. But we're all in that category when it comes to Kasey, partner. So how are you, my friend?
I am less attractive than a lot of people. I know probably 90% of the known world.
Yeah.
But I can live with it.
I'm with you. Nick says he's much more handsome than all of us, but I guess I'll have to give him that. I want you, if you were going to give the Bucs draft a handsome grade, what level handsome would you say that was? Was it like Tom Selleck handsome, or was it Pee Wee Herman handsome? Where are you going on that list?
I'm going Tom Cruise. A good-looking guy, but not that tall.
That's a strong. That's a strong B minus, right? Okay.
Yeah, a B minus, right in there. And again, I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people have that in the draft, you've got to take a corner and a wide receiver every draft because these guys are just flying in and out. Plus, with Chris Godwin's situation, you don't know when he'll be coming back. But you know what, JP? They drafted smartly, and I said this on last week on your show. I said they're trading out. There is no doubt they're going to try to trade down and get another pick or two, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah, they did, and they addressed some needs, no doubt about it. I was hoping for something a little bit more, I don't know, splashy. And if they were going to trade down, why not trade down again and get some more picks in that second round, which they didn't do. They stuck and stayed with Logan Hall, who they could have had at 27. I don't know. It seemed like maybe they could jump up and get Jermaine Johnson and give up a 5th round pick or whatever it would have taken since he fell in the draft. I don't know. I was just underwhelmed. I don't know about Gadecki. I don't know if he has a great pedigree. Obviously, Light knows how to get small school offensive linemen, but just down the line, what do you think of each pick?
JP, you're right. It wasn't that it was underwhelming. It was just like you went, oh, okay.
Okay.
You didn't jump off the couch and say, hey, this is the guy I want, take a running back, okay, they needed a running back, all the picks made sense. Okay, they may have to move on from punter. I get that.
Yep.
Okay, it was a logical draft for the Bucs.
That's a good word. There was logical. Good word.
Yeah, and there was an adult in the room.
Yep.
Who was talking to everybody. It wasn't like Carolina where you had to worry about, is there an adult in the room or are they going to take a quarterback that early?
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you what, JP, I think in the back of Jason's mind, T.Y. Hilton, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, these guys are still around.
Yeah.
And they may take a run at one of them depending upon where Godwin is, because they're going to be able to get those guys. Again, if there's any tread left on the tire and if they're healthy, it's not going to cost them a whole lot.
Yeah, and what do you think about these reports of Julian Edelman perhaps signing?
I'm wondering if there's any tread left on that tire.
Yeah.
Again, nothing against Julian Edelman. Guy played hard every down, and there may not be a whole lot left in what he's got. But again, if that gets me Gronk back, I'll pay him the minimum. Get me Gronk back
absolutely.
In the fold. You know?
If it's a package deal, and if that's what it takes to get Gronk back, which we might laugh and chuckle at that, but as Kasey said, the bromance is real. These guys like playing with each other. There's a comfortability there. If it motivates Gronk that his buddy Edelman's going to be out there, well, then what the hell? Why not?
And there's a return guy, which the Bucs really need. That's a guy who can return punts and kickoffs.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. So did you like the punter pick?
I did. And again, it's just people say, well, they wasted a 5th round pick. Understand this. The only reason you are taking 5, 6, and 7, and I would normally say 4, but because of the super seniors that stuck around, you may be getting 2nd, 3rd round value at 4th round. When you take the punter at number 5, all you're doing with those late round picks is to try to remove salary and try to bring somebody in at a lower salary who can replace a guy at a higher salary and give you more money to sign your upper picks.
Yeah. I see that. And so much of this philosophy, has to be, I think, this year is all about Brady. I think that's why they went and got, veterans and Logan Ryan and Keanu O'Neal for the secondary. Guys that can come in and they know they don't have to teach them. They know how to play the game. They can plug them in and get impact this year. You think that's kind of the philosophy?
Oh, yeah. They brought that point up yesterday at the we had all the defensive coaches out there and the special teams coach we could talk to. And I don't know, JP, if you heard any of that, but I thought that Nick Rapone's answer when I asked him about John Lynch, and I said, do you have to temper your guys' aggression? He said, we had to talk to Jerome Whitehead every Saturday. Yeah. Don't drop your head, lead with your shoulder. But the last sentence, I hope this doesn't cost him anything, but he said, John Lynch is right, and he played the game the right way. Boy, I'll tell you, that's telling me that a lot of these people are saying, hey, we need to go back and it's a man's game. Let's let these guys play football.
Yeah, well, we both know that's never going to happen. It's the league is a CYA league, and I get it. There's player safety and whatnot. The weird part about all these rules is, who hates them the most? The players. Players. I mean, and if there's a perception out there that the players are like, oh, I'm glad they're doing this, it's not true, right? I mean, they want to play. They don't want to be flagged. That's why they play the game of football. If they didn't want to hit people, they'd go play basketball or something else.
It's funny, JP, you brought that up because that's what he said. He said the biggest problem we had are the guys that love contact.
Yeah.
They love contact. We gotta pull the reins back in. And again, he said, we're going to miss Jerome Whitehead because he threw his body around. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He just went in and made tackles. And that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle. And again, they've got a guy coming in. They got that they're going to look at who's done this before. Played a little linebacker last year at Dallas. So we know he's not afraid to put his nose down in the box. So it's going to be a fun season. Again, JP, it's all going to come down to who stays healthy.
Yeah, and when you bring in veteran players like those guys, that's one of the things that you're worried about is like, can these guys stay healthy for the whole year? 17 game season, it's tough. So but again, I'd rather have veteran players than rookies, honestly, to lean on. It's just if you got 1 year to play, and you're going all in with Brady. That's it. Now, is there anything out there that you think you mentioned wide receivers, a veteran wide receiver, anything else out there that the Bucs should be looking to add?
JP, right now, I don't know. They got to figure out what they're doing with Sue. I think they are going to move on from JPP just because it's time to find out what you got with Joe Tryon, Sharon, and find out what you got from Nelson. And again, that's huge. And JP, I think what you're going to see, and this may be the last year we see the draft as we know it. Look what the Eagles did. Look what the Cardinals did. They're doing exactly what the Rams did. Trading away possible talent for proven talent. And again, the only 2 teams that come out of the draft with definites are those 2 teams because they know what they're getting. Yeah.
No, and I agree. I've always said that I'd rather have a proven player than a rookie, than a draft pick, because you never know how the draft board's going to fall. You never know who's going to be there. You never know what your needs are at the time. That's the thing about trading for established players. They fill an exact need for you, and they're proven players, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And I personally would do that, but the problem with that is obviously salary cap. But with salary cap exploding in the next few years, this is a smart play. Draft picks are not as important right now as they usually are because of how this cap is going to go up the next few years. I think the smart teams are taking advantage of that. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you're in that mid to late round, first round pick. You're in the top 10. You're going to be looking for that quarterback. You're going to be looking for that guy that makes a difference. But when you hit 11, 12, you're going to see some teams start to move and shake.
I agree.
Just because, okay, this is something that will help us now. It's more about winning now. I've never seen that more important in the NFL. People aren't looking past a year.
Right.
They're looking, saying, hey, look what Cincinnati did.
Yep.
They got a year, and second year they were there. And again, coaches aren't going to be around 3 or 4 years if you don't at least get some playoff money for that owner.
No doubt about that. Lastly, the Bucs Seahawks, November 13th in Munich. I think that they're going to extend Oktoberfest for that game, so I think we'll still be good. But I'm glad it's a Seahawks game and not the Chiefs game or another game I think the home fans would like to see. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Jawohl, my Capitan. Let's get our we'll jump on that U-boat and we'll sail across to Germany. I'll tell you, let's hope the Ukraine is settled by now.
Yes.
Germany's a little close to Poland, and that's the next step if they go.
Yeah.
But again, it's nice to see that the NFL is expanding. I'd rather see them go to Europe than go to Mexico.
Oh,
again, that's
100%.
just it's not a good situation down there right now. So they're heading across the pond. I'm okay. Let's not head south, not yet at least.
I saw Booger on Get Up this morning. He said, "Watch out for the Saints in the NFC South." He believes that they could beat the Bucs in the South. I don't disagree with him, by the way. I've been saying that all along. And people think the South's going to be easy this year. If Jameis comes back healthy, the Saints are a factor. Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, and their defense has the Bucs number. Let's be real honest.
Yeah.
That's a one team they don't want to see. And again, I don't know what's going to happen in Atlanta, what's going to happen in Carolina. They'll be competitive, but I think the Saints have a shot. If Jameis can line up for 17, that's going to be a really – and again, Olave gives them that guy that can blow the top off the defense, which they hadn't had in a while.
Yep. I am not writing them off at all. All right, Leo, tell everybody how they can find your content.
Hey, go to Amped Up Sports, and we're putting out – I used to call it my midnight updates for national and local, but it's now becoming 1 a.m. because of the West Coast with the Rays and all the triple overtimes with the with the hockey and that. And how about the Rays, man? go down 5-1 right away, fight their way back, get 2 in the 9th and 5 in the 10th.
How about that? Comeback kids, man. They don't look like they're playing their best, but they're putting up wins, so that's a good thing.
Just stay within sight of the Yankees.
Yeah.
They'll figure out. They're going to figure out their pitching is the Yankees shortly.
Yeah. All right, partner. Appreciate it. The great Leo Haggerty. We'll catch up with you next week. All right, we will take a break. Thanks, bud.
I'll try to work. I'll try to work on my looks between now and then. All right.
All good, Leo. All good, my man. All right, we will. We'll take a break here. When we come back, I want to get into this topic of the NCAA wants to regulate now the name, image, and likeness payments and the boosters. Talk about late to the party. We'll talk about this next. Italiano Insurance has been serving and working in our community for over 60 years, and it's not just about insuring all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucs, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799. Cryptocurrency is all the rage today. The market cap for the industry is now over $1 trillion. And you read about people making millions of dollars, right? You want to get in, but have no idea what to do? Or maybe you dabbled a bit and you want to unlock the real money-making opportunities and don't know how to do it. There are over 10,000 tokens and thousands of decentralized finance exchanges to navigate. So what do? You go to DeFiLava.com. The folks at DeFiLava.com are in Tampa Bay, and they work with you directly to set up custom accounts, answer all your questions, and provide market analysis. Decentralized finance and cryptocurrencies are here to stay and will change the financial markets as we know them. Get in the game. Get with the experts at DeFiLava.com and tell them JP sent you and get their free 2022 crypto market forecast today at DeFiLava.com. Don't get left behind, folks. Make some money at DeFiLava.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo and the Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Christopher Lugo and his medical team will take great care of you. He works with our top pilots in the military. He is also part of the military, recently appointed to a very prestigious medical appointment that he's not allowed to talk about. So it's also classified, but he can take care of you. BAMMC.com. If you're looking for some testosterone replacement therapy or losing weight, obviously when you're working with the Top Gun pilots, you know the latest and greatest techniques, and that's exactly what he will pass on to you. And they'll do it in a very personalized way. You come in, spend 45 minutes, an hour with the doctor and go over what your issues are, medications you're taking, and they will work up a perfect personalized diet for you, exercise routine, everything to keep you healthy and to keep your immune system robust. When and if we have another pandemic, you'll be ready for it. So it's very important these days to get healthy, and no better place than Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Modern techniques, modern ways to go about it, not some of the old tired methods. BAMMC.com. All right, speaking of the old tired methods, this story, I'm reading this story and I'm laughing because it's like, yo, hello, NCAA, train left the station like 3 hours ago. You're a little bit late to the party here as far as trying to enforce your archaic dinosaurian rules on athletes and their NIL. Have you heard about this stuff?
Very briefly. I find a lot of it kind of confusing to read through.
It is.
Because I still think we're so much about NIL we don't know about because it's so like unregulated.
Well, and that's the point. And this is like, literally is like the NCAA. If I was going to write a cartoon, it would be the NCAA as an ostrich sticking its head in the sand, right? Then popping its head out and there's a picture of a train leaving the station with athletes and money just everywhere. And the caption over the ostrich is like, "Oh my God, they're breaking the rules." It's like, hello, have you not been paying attention at all? So evidently there were some NCAA meetings yesterday, and NCAA Council Chairman Shane Lyons told CBS Sport the association's ruling body is motivated to push back against what is becoming a burgeoning scandal of disguised pay-for-play in college athletics. Well, duh. Quote, "How are they having conversations with athletes? They are boosters," Lyons said Tuesday from the Fiesta Summit, a series of conference and spring meetings where all these fat cat bureaucrats been sucking off the teat of these athletes for decades and decades, get huge, luxurious rooms and big steak dinners to talk about stupid crap. Sorry, that wasn't in the story. I just added that as a little bit of commentary. Quote, "We've never let boosters be involved in the recruiting process. Where did it go off the tracks? The collectives are boosters." And the collectives, of course, are the NIL collectives that are being run by boosters, and in some cases, coaches and part of the administration. Not in Florida because our law is more restrictive. The coaches and the administration can't be involved, but in Georgia and Alabama and other places that have better NIL collectives, the actual university employees can be involved and have been involved in setting up these huge collectives that are paying the players. Well, duh. And the NCAA is actually complaining about what's going on in Miami. John Ruiz Jr. is a billionaire alumnus. He leads the Miami Collective, which is the NIL collective. He's also an attorney, son of Cuban immigrants who attended Miami when his football dynasty took shape in the 80s. This is from CBS Sports Report. And he goes on to say that, my platform is very consistent with the rules with NCAA and state law. We probably have more robust compliance other than schools and the NCAA itself. I'm extremely comfortable. This is totally kosher. We have legitimate companies. So he's basically saying that we have companies. The companies are paying the players to represent them. And that's how the NIL is supposed to work. And that's why it does work. The NCAA no longer has any standing here. You can't, your archaic rules have been trumped by actual laws that have been written into code. And don't forget, the NCAA is not a government body. It can't impose any type of sanctions on these universities in terms of anything that's legal or illegal. If you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be against NCAA rules, but honestly, that has no teeth anymore. Yeah. So, does the NCAA really think they can institute and crack down on these NILs? That's stupid. They can't. They have no power, which is why Mark Emmert is stepping down from his $5 million a year cushy job where he does absolutely nothing but try and ruin college sports. So the NCAA is a joke, and it's going to be dissolved.
Yeah.
What is this?
Like most things, the NCAA gets it wrong. And when they react, they are late to the party, like you said. They had a chance to get out in front of this NIL stuff last summer when they started going off. I remember us sitting on the show the first day NIL became a thing.
5 years ago.
Yeah, but I remember even last summer when it first started, and we're talking about guys getting deals with Raising Cane's and your local AC company, just little small stuff like that. And now it's turned into when you're recruiting a player, you better have your NIL sorted out, or guess what? Your recruit is going elsewhere, and he's not entertaining you. Is that good for college football? Is that good for college football or college sports in general?
No, well, that's a very nebulous question. I think the players need to be paid. We've talked about this forever, but allowing it to become the way they're doing it now is ridiculous. There are no rules and regulations, and certainly nothing that's consistent across the country because every state is different. And frankly, the Florida schools are at a huge disadvantage right now.
Yeah.
Until they change their own law to be like everybody else's no law.
Yeah. And a lot of the guys at Outkick, we've been talking a lot about NIL, and they're doing a sit-down series with a lot of coaches in the SEC. And they had Rick Barnes on their show, I think 2 days ago, the men's head coach basketball at Tennessee. And he was talking about NIL at length. And he said that a lot of guys come in, they are not even thinking about NIL at all. It's only when there's the one school that floats it in front of them and says, well, here's our NIL offer. Then they start coming back to all the other schools where they weren't even thinking about it. Like, what's your best offer? and then it just turns into it's NIL, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not about anything else that you want to do while you're at college, your culture fit. It becomes strictly about the money. And that's the part that doesn't sit well with me.
Right.
Pay the players, absolutely. These institutions wouldn't be as nice as they are and have as much money and as much of a budget as they have without these players. Let's be real here. But it's just a new era of college football. It's hard to really, I guess, grasp your arms around it really because of how Wild West it is. And I don't think it helps the little guys at all. On the contrary, it does, but I think every time Nick Saban puts a quote out there about NIL, I think it's a threat from him. I take it as a threat to the rest of college football. Like, y'all better start getting this under control or I'm going to wipe y'all even more, because you understand how much money we can throw around to these players. Do you want to see what happens?
You don't think Alabama's doing NIL deals?
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
But I think every time Nick Saban complains with NIL, it's a threat. I think it's a backhanded threat to the rest of people. I don't know how it helps little guys. I just told you the Biletnikoff Award winner, Jordan Addison, just entered the portal 2 days before the deadline. 2 days. It's May. We shouldn't have guys entering the portal on April 29th, 3rd. The deadline needs to be pushed back. I think that would be a good start, because now USC is just going to throw this guy $1 million or whatever to have him at their program, and that leaves Pitt in the dust. How's that good for college football?
It's not.
For the little guy.
It's not. Well, you would just hope that somebody at Pittsburgh would step up. They've got a lot of alumni that are probably still giving money to the school and not the players. And you got to flip it. You got to flip it. If you're like John Ruiz has done in Miami, he's been giving money to the program forever. And he said, and they're smart, and probably because Dan Radakovich is the best AD in the business. They got him from Clemson, and they probably said, all right, look, we have to have an NIL collective. It has to be well funded, and that's one billionaire who's putting his money where his mouth is to bring Miami back to stardom. And so far the results have been pretty good. They've been able to get some 5 stars to come to Miami. Their collective class wasn't hugely ranked, but they've got some individual players that are difference makers.
Yeah, this is all this does. This lets Miami, this lets USC, this lets Texas, all the blue bloods who have been struggling of late, that are big and have money.
Yeah,
it lets them right back into the college football world. I don't know about you, but for me, you should earn your way back into the college football world at the top. To me, this whole let's just buy everybody. This isn't MLB. This is not the MLB where the Yankees should be able to spend $300 million if they want to get back into contention. It doesn't sit well with me. This hasn't been the way college athletics have been.
This is what I've been warning about for a decade or more, is that they needed to come up with a system that paid the players equitably and that was equitable across the landscape. Look, the only way this is going to get fixed, and I've been talking about this for a long, long time. I read this probably, 8 to 9 years ago. Somebody in NCAA compliance who was also a lawyer, it was very learned on the subject, said this is what you need to do in college athletics. You need to understand and first of all be adults and say who's producing the money, and you have to run them like businesses. Especially the men's basketball and men's football. That's where all the money is. Now, there are pockets where, Connecticut basketball, Tennessee basketball, women's basketball, and other places make money. But the majority of the money is made by those two entities. They need to be taken out of the Title IX, out of the universities, and basically operate as separate entities within the school, or just out as almost like a booster organization. And they create money. The economics are basically the same. They create the money. They're attached to the university, and then they just give the money back to the university. But they're kind of taken out of some of the other legalities like Title IX. Now, that's not circumventing Title IX. What you do is you keep all the women's sports and all the non-revenue sports, and you keep them and you keep funding them as you have been funding them. But this is a way to pay the athletes who have been producing all the revenue for all this time and not been given their due. I mean, the biggest, I won't say crime, but the biggest misnomer is all these football and basketball players, the money they generate, who it really goes to for the most part? It goes to the fat cats at the top, the stupid athletic director, not stupid. I hate, Michael Kelly and the ones I know. I'm not talking to you. It's the system. The system where, these bureaucrats are making millions and millions and millions of dollars off the backs of the players. And and all these, and everybody up the chain, and the coaches, assistant coaches, strength coaches making $1 million. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So they have to get that spending under control, come up with a wage for the football players that they can go all the way across the board. Every scholarship player gets the same amount of money. And you have to bring it all collectively together as one entity. You can no longer have Southeastern Conference, ACC. It has to all come together and be run like an NFL. That's the way it has to be done.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that's radical, but it has to be.
This is radical to me. What's going on?
This is radical, and totally there's no control over it.
There's no control. And for the little guys, and maybe not the little guys is the best way to say about the school I'm about to say, but the schools don't have a lot of money. And I bring up UCF because obviously I went there, I'm plugged in there. And they have been ahead of the curve with this NIL. I mean, you saw what they did last year with the spring game jerseys, having the first thing was the Twitter handles on the back of the jersey.
Yep.
This year, they took it a step further and put the QR codes on the back of the jersey, right? Gus Malzahn, when he comes to the presser, the only thing he's not wearing a polo. He's wearing a T-shirt to his players.
Right.
And they have links to their website and QR codes. It's just crazy. And it kind of forces you to have to be creative like that if you're not one of these big powers. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in the case of, I'd bring up Florida State because it's very relevant in this state, a program that does not have their NIL stuff exactly all sorted out.
That's right.
And then you wonder why you lose out on guys.
Lose Travis Hunter.
And then you
lose out on Amarius Mims.
Yeah, you lose on bidding wars because that's what it is. It's a bidding war.
Yep.
And that's why I say Miami is perfectly suited with the amount of donors they probably have that are coming to the show now and having an AD like Radakovic. Miami's probably going to get it turned around quicker than a lot of people think.
Yep. And they're going to probably build they don't have an on-campus stadium or something more near campus that they can control. I think Miami's definitely on the come, and the teams and the organizations that have their shiz together are going to flourish in this, and the ones that don't are not. But I can see like a Tulane or some small school that just has one billionaire donor like Ruiz who says, you know what, I want to put $1 billion. What if Elon Musk, took a liking to some particular small school, like a Tulane or something, and said, you know what, here's $2 billion for NIL money. Make them all Tesla representatives. Give them all Teslas. How do you think Tulane's going to do the next couple of years?
Yeah, pretty good.
Probably good. Probably good. And that's what I'm saying. And so when I say it might be good for the smaller teams, only takes one rich dude or a few rich dudes. You can transform any program.
Listen, we got no idea what happened with. Jackson State is a good example too.
Yes, it's a great example.
I have no idea how much money was involved with the Travis Hunter. I'm not gonna. Dion can say whatever. They came here to play here. That's, in all respect to Dion, that's horse. We know there had to have been some money involved there, no doubt about it.
And it's not bad. If I hope there is some money involved.
Yeah, I hope so.
If that kid's silly enough to just go to Jackson State without getting any money, when he could have got millions and millions from Georgia and Alabama, and was offered millions and millions from Georgia, Alabama, and FSU. If he went to Jackson State for nothing, I would say, first of all, that is so against everything primetime stands for. Every fiber of his being. He would never advise any kid to turn down $3 million to come play at Jackson State for nothing. And if he did advise that said person, he's lying to his face, because it goes against everything he's ever said before in his entire life.
Although he did say yesterday that he believes that these kids need to focus more on getting to the NFL than the NIL. That's what Dion said. I'm just repeating what he said, but again, the actions.
Hello,
the actions.
Hypocrite, party of one.
They don't match up.
Hello, Dion honestly said that.
Yeah, he's like, the kids need to focus more on getting to the NFL than NIL.
Wow, from prime time.
Yeah.
Can we bring up like 1,000 of his quotes and comments about money? Are you kidding me? Just succinctly put, he doesn't get off the couch unless you're paying him. Come on, it's not happening. So yeah, that seems a little hypocritical to me. And maybe he's starting to lose the NIL wars. And again, if he got Travis Hunter to come there for nothing, God bless him, but that's disingenuous as hell.
I ain't buying it though.
No.
I'm not buying it for 1 second.
All right, the Rays. We haven't really dug into this yet. Mike Zunino last night. Are we going to start with Brett Phillips? So Yarbs goes out there last night Ryan Yarbrough making his first start, which Nick and I are still completely baffled. There is a absolute bag full of analytic data about Yarbs when he starts with an opener and when he comes in and does the bulk. I don't know. Do you have the numbers handy?
I'm trying to pull them up here.
It's ridiculously lopsided. But yet, here we go, throwing Yarbrough out there in the first inning, gives up 5 runs, a grand slam to Kevin Smith, and already razor down 5-1. I mean, it's just, here we go again. Now, God bless the rest of the team. They kept fighting. Kittredge was in the bullpen, said, we're not losing this game. We're going to hold them right where they are the rest of the game, and damned if they didn't. Bullpen came in, lights out the rest of the way. Didn't get a run in the next 8 innings or whatever it was, 7 innings. Kittredge was good. Jeffrey Springs came in, pitched 3 1/3, no runs. I mean, this bullpen has been absolutely phenomenal. And Brett Phillips makes probably a 2-run saving catch and then comes up the next inning with 1 on and does this.
It's a fly ball. Towering shot back into center. Pochet's going to go back. He's looking up. That's gone. Home run off the bat of Brett Phillips. A towering blast into center field. And with one swing of the bat, the Rays have 2 of those runs back.
Wearing the Chloe bracelet, I'm sure, for another 400-foot home run.
Dude, you got some sneaky pop. That was a
bomb.
That was out there.
Yeah. And it's interesting. That stat, was it 24-3 when he has an RBI?
Yeah.
So it's now 26-3 when he has an RBI the last 3 games, because he's got 4 games, I think, in a row now. And you look at his average and you're like, he's not much of a hitter. But it's like every time he gets a hit, it seems to be like it's a critical play. He hits bombs. He hits clutch. It's interesting that he just keeps winning games for this team. So then we go to the 9th, down 2. The pinch hitter with 1 out is Mike Zunino. Can he come through in the clutch? So we build the drama like you don't already know what happened.
1-1. That's a high fly ball.
You hear that?
Back into left center. Got a chance to go. Out of here. Home run.
As predicted by Wander
home
Franco.
Run for Zunino, and the Rays have tied this game.
Franco said that he predicted it right before he went up there, and he's going to hit a home run. We probably don't hear of all the predictions that don't come true, but that one did. And then they go on to score 5 in the inning and win 10-7. How about that?
I wasn't expecting that. And the stat that I came across that kind of blew me away, that is the first game in the modern era, which I believe stretches back 50 years, if I'm correct, in which there were 8 runs or more scored in the first 2 innings, and then 8 runs scored in the 9th inning or later, and no runs scored in between.
Wow.
So chew on that. That's hard to comprehend right there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The entire modern era.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So you kind of saw history yesterday.
8 runs in the first 2 innings.
8 runs or more in the first 2 innings.
8 runs or more in the last, after the
9th or later.
9th or later.
Nothing in between.
With all the numbers and games that have been played in the history of baseball.
Yeah, I can't believe that's the first one.
That's the first one. But I can see it. It's odd.
Yeah.
Rarely do they score 5 runs in the top of the 10th. But so I'm sure it's all because of the ghost runner. Absolutely. But again, so now here we sit. The Rays are 13-10.
14-10.
14-10 now. And we would honestly say what we've seen this year is their C- game. I mean, they have not been good defensively. Starting pitching has been dreadful. The offense has gone silent most of the year. And here they sit at 14-10.
Yeah, they're 7-3 in their last 10 too.
What the hell? Are we too critical?
I think we might be a little bit. I think we're still have the remnants of the whole Austin Meadows things that irritates us.
Yeah.
And we've harped on that a lot. But at the same time, I mean, they're good teams win when they're not playing their best baseball.
Yeah.
And I think the Rays still have more to show. But to me, going in on this West Coast trip, which I said I was very concerned, Coliseum's been a house of horrors for the Rays in the past.
Yeah.
And to get 2 wins like that, you got the day game today at 3:30, which I love. No more 9:40 games until checks notes tomorrow. They're back at it again at 10 o'clock, so Get ready for that. But to get 2 wins like that against Oakland, and I know it's early, but again, the Yankees just won their 11th game in a row. last night against Toronto, which is just crazy. And the Rays got to keep pace. I think they're 4 off the pace right now. So if the Rays can come out of this West Coast trip with Seattle and Los Angeles and come out, over 500 or a few games over 500, you take it.
Yeah.
You take it. And Isak Freitas yesterday, by the way, was part of that onslaught as well, which I love seeing him up here.
Well, they always seem to figure it out. And could they be in better position? Absolutely, they could be.
Did I jinx Jason Adam yesterday? Yes, I did.
Yeah,
a little bit. He gave up his first hit of the season.
Eventually, it was going to happen.
It was going to happen. You know what it was? You know whose fault it was? The ghost runner. The people like you that want ghost runners and gimmicks in baseball. That's what the problem is.
So there was a runner in scoring position, and that's the
problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he never lets anybody even get on base, let alone get to second.
Well, he also, at that point, he had a 5-run lead, right? I guess.
Yeah, 5-run lead.
So, yeah. You're throwing the ball down the middle. Go ahead, hit it. It's all right. I got 5 to play with. I'm just not going to walk you. So, yeah, situationally, there you go. But doesn't take away from what he's done and how the Rays have fixed him. It's amazing what they do. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Justin Bronca is going to join us. He is the head coach and manager of Tampa Bay Rugby, and they are on their way to the national regional after winning state championships in their men's and women's teams. So we will chat with him about the explosion in rugby here locally. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or AMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Have you purchased a home in the last years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. JP Peterson Show brought to you by our second hour, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Christopher Lugo and his team will take great care of you. If you're looking for new primary care, they are taking new patients currently. So go to BAMMC.com and work with the best. Cutting edge philosophies there with the Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. All right, we want to welcome in Justin Bronca, who is the captain and player for the Tampa Bay Crew local rugby club that's been going at it since 1991. Justin, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our mutual friend, Christian Uttis, Guido, got us in touch. He's been a longtime player. He said he's the only man that can take you down consistently in the open field. Would you like to respond to his blasphemy?
Guido has been saying that for years. I think he tripped my ankles one time in a game, and he hasn't let it go since. But he's definitely a tough old man.
A tough old man. That's a great way to put it. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about Tampa Bay Rugby Crew here. And you guys are going to the regionals after winning state championships in the men's and women's side. Tell me a little bit about the club.
So we've been around since the early 90s. There's a team over in St. Pete, the Pelicans. They've been around since the 70s, and at some point there was a split, and guys on this side of the bridge decided to form their own team. We won a national championship in 2010-11 and went right back the next year. And we've been around since then, just kind of growing the club. We have 2 adult men's teams, a women's team, under 19 high school team, which kind of pulls from all the high school areas in Hillsborough County. And we also have an under 14, under 17, 12, 10. We have guys, our kids as young as 4 out at practice, and a couple of players in their 60s. So we got a pretty big group of people, yeah.
So what I understand, rugby is growing. The sport is growing rapidly. What do you attribute that to?
Exposure. I think bringing sevens rugby back in the Olympics kind of brought it back into focus a little bit, and showing kind of the speed and skill set of those guys. But yeah, focus is got to be it. There's more money put behind it. Being on TV, getting more people to watch it is definitely making it more popular on this side of the world.
Now, Justin, the biggest thing that I hear from people that don't know a lot about rugby is how the hell do they play and tackle without helmets on and not sustain tons of head injuries? It's one of the great questions, right next to who built the pyramids. How the hell do you do this?
So honestly, it only takes about one time tackling like you have a helmet on to realize that's not how you should. Like I grew up playing football. Every coach I ever had in Pop Warner youth is like, put your hat on the ball, put your helmet on the ball. And if you try to do that without a helmet on, you go to sleep pretty quickly. So actually without the pads and that kind of mental safety net, you're more cognizant of where you put your body, where you put your head, and you don't put yourself in dangerous positions.
It sounds a little harder than it sounds. How does it take a while to perfect that technique?
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of, it all depends on your coaching and and how much you drill it. It's all with repetitions. But like I said, it's kind of trial by fire. The one time that you'll put your head in there like you're playing football with a helmet on, you probably won't do it again because it's not very pleasant.
How do you tackle? Is it more arm tackle, shoulder tackle? How do you teach it?
No, it's shoulder tackling, but normally it's called cheek to cheek. So if a ball carrier is running across from me, I'm trying to put my cheek on the outside of his butt cheek and take him down by the legs. That's where you'd like to get it, away from the hip bones, away from bony prominences, right? If you get up too high, you'll get stiff arm. Too low, you'll get some knees and legs. So you kind of want to go for that sweet spot from like just below the armpit to above the knee and somewhere in that, and wrap up and drive to the ground.
Cheek to cheek. I didn't think we'd hear that on the show today, but if you had that in the Vegas bets, you win. So tell me a little bit about some of the adults that you have. Where do they come from in terms of other programs and colleges that have settled down here looking for a place to play rugby? Where do your players come from?
Yeah, so all over, man. We have right now on our team that's heading over to Houston, we have 3 guys from the UK who are all citizens here now. We have 2 Fijian guys who they're citizens here now as well. South African, a bunch of ex-military guys. Myself, I'm from Tampa, but we draw a lot of active duty military guys who are still in the area, and then when they settle in the area, they play as well. And just people who have settled all over into Tampa area. So we draw from a pretty big area.
Justin Bronca is our guest here. He's a player and captain of Tampa Rugby Crew, headed to Houston this week to play in the regionals and maybe on to the national championship. When were you part of that national championship team? Tell me about that team.
I was not. those are most of our old Guido, actually, our mutual friend. He was part of that team. That was before my time. I've only been playing rugby now for about 6 years. But our team has a very, deep and rich legacy. They were pretty dominant. Like I said, they won the national championship and went back the following year and lost in the final. But it was a good run they were on, and we're happy to make it back to the Sweet 16 this year and hopefully keep progressing.
And tell me about your high school team. If there's some parents out there that want to get maybe their kid didn't want to play for high school football team or whatever reason, what type of people and kids do you attract, and how early can they start? How do they get involved?
Yeah, so our high school team is technically a under 19, a U19 team. So as long as you are under that age by a certain month in the year, you can play. So a lot of guys a year out of high school, but not quite big enough or ready to play men's rugby or college rugby, kind of fall into that thing too. We have a Facebook page. It's Tampa Crew Youth Rugby. Our head coach, Joe Hillbush, is awesome. He's coached all the way from high school all the way down to like the little 4 and 5 year olds, and he was also one of our players on our national championship team. But it's a great path. Realistically, I think it's less than like 5% of high school football players get Division I or II scholarships. It's very competitive, and there are rugby scholarships out there all over the United States. And we have a couple of guys right now about to take on full ride scholarships, and we put people in big rugby programs across the nation already. So, yeah.
So you're getting these kids are getting full rides.
Yeah.
Wow.
Room, board, everything. Room, board, tuition, everything. So there's definitely more opportunities out there. And they're looking for athletes. Not everyone in the United States plays rugby at a very young age. So don't get me wrong, they're looking for players with, rugby skills, but, size, speed, stuff that you can't coach is trying to mold the newer American rugby player.
So what would you say to a parent out there about if they were, their kid was playing high school football and maybe it's not the most rewarding experience for them for whatever reason? Hey, maybe you should try rugby. Why would you say to that parent that rugby is better than maybe football?
Personally, what's that?
Give me your sales pitch. Your sales
so
pitch.
I was in the Army for 12 years. And I can honestly say, besides, 2 or 3 people that I'm really close with, this is the greatest community of men and women I've ever met. And that goes like worldwide. I've been all over the United States, all over the nation. If you got a rugby shirt on, someone's buying you a drink, someone's bringing you, offering you to come to dinner at their house. It's just don't get me wrong, it's a battle on the field, but afterwards everyone's hugging each other, singing songs together, and we're really close. And it's a giant welcoming community. And there's not a lot of the stepping on your fellow teammates to get ahead kind of thing like there is especially in the youth AAU programs for football, basketball, stuff like that. It's not that kind. It's a more welcoming environment. And all of my best friends are rugby players. All of my wife's friends are wives of rugby players. Like, it's just a community that I never saw myself in, but now that I'm in it, I can't imagine not being around it.
What's interesting about that answer is you didn't talk anything about the sport, just the people in it. And that's really cool. The peer group, I know a lot of rugby players from my college days, and every one of them salt of the earth, great, hardworking people, except for Guido. Really, it is an incredible community. I've been exposed to it a little bit, and also on the women's side. Very tight knit on the women's side. Women that play on the same teams in rugby. It's a really cool vibe. Tell me a little bit about the women's programs.
So our women's program is less than, I think they're just right at 5 years old. And they're a phenomenal group of them. They're so good that this year, another single female women's team in the state had a positive point differential because of how good our women's team was. Wow. So every team they played had negative point differential because of the score. We put up 80 points, 90 points, 60 points against 5, 10, 12. They're very, very dominant. And they're very, very good. And it's cool to have us all out there practicing together. And, we're traveling to Houston together, and it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. I got to meet some of the players on that team. We got to get some of them on the show.
They're impressive.
Yeah. Do they mostly have collegiate backgrounds, the ladies?
Some of it's kind of mixed. There's some of them who play, there's different kind of codes of rugby. So some of them play rugby league. Some of them are soccer players. Some of them played rugby in college. Some of them are just athletes who tried it out and kind of found their way. But they're I dare to say there's probably 6 or 7 players on our women's team that could start for most men's teams in the state. They're
Really?
that good. Yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Yeah, we'll definitely. I'll lean on you to get some of them on the show when they come back from whooping ass at regionals. That'll be great. Heading to all right. So tell the folks out there how they can get involved if they want to play or just come out and watch, be part of the vibe. How do they get involved with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have obviously Facebook and social media is an easy way to find out where everything is. Our website is tampacrewrugby.com. And then we have, if you just type in Tampa Crew into Facebook search, you'll see our women's team, our under 19 team, our men's team. And we post schedules, practice places, training facilities, upcoming events, fundraisers, things like that. We're all over social media, both Facebook, Instagram, website, stuff like that. So you just type in Tampa Crew Rugby, it'll take you to one of our pages. And then you can reach out to anybody you see as a board member that is listed on the website.
All right, awesome. And how do you think you're going to do in Houston?
I'm supremely confident. Everyone who's going to be in Houston is there for a reason. They're all very good, but I know from 1 to 23 players that's the 23-man roster that we have. I don't think there's a team in the nation that's better than us. So I'm confident that we'll play. If we win Saturday, we play again on Sunday, and that'll be the Elite 8 matchup on Sunday.
Nice. Well, all right. Let's find out on Monday, or come back and let us know how you guys did. All right. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Right. I love doing different interviews like that, different sports, especially with the local stuff. What a great if Torello hasn't done a story on them already, we'll definitely point him that way, because that's a great story. That's a great local story. I got to tell you, I am fascinated by women's rugby. Have you ever watched the women's rugby game?
I have a few times, yeah. It's very
aggressive.
Physical is about
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is misogynistic or whatever the hell it is, but I just fascinated by watching Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano box this weekend. Yeah. Couldn't get enough of that. Women's combat sports, which I guess, and rugby's kind of a hybrid. I mean, it's an athletic sport, but it's also a combat sport. I mean, it's breathtaking. It's like, oh my God, these ladies are badasses.
Well, remember like UFC when that was really kind of like taken off. A lot of people said they're going to put women in there.
Yeah.
And then to me, there's only been 2 megastars in the history of UFC, Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, true.
She ended up being the second megastar.
I'm straight up. I have much more interest. Like if I'm watching UFC, watching 2 dudes go at it, unless it's a championship match or something else. But 2 girls going at it. I mean, just and we saw the boxing match this weekend. Those girls were knocking the shit out of each other. they wouldn't go down. I mean, they were taking heavy fire from each other. And man, they stood in there. I would drop like a wuss. I mean, those girls are, and the rugby girls the same way. They are tough as freaking nails.
Like another sport that we don't really, obviously we don't talk much about, but if you ever flip it on, is lacrosse, honestly. I can get into that too. That's also very physical and one of those, I guess, obscure sports that we don't pay attention to. But when it's on, I give
Something
it a watch.
about lacrosse is just Ivy League to me.
It's definitely very.
It gives me a little Ivy League heebie-jeebies.
Ivy League.
Like if there's a term for being like misogynistic against Ivy Leaguers, I probably have that. I don't know why, but just I don't know.
You'd be surprised though. Lacrosse is really big in this area.
It is. I know.
There's a lot of high schools play it in this area.
Yeah. It's the white man's football. Let's just be honest. A lot of white kids just know they got no shot at football. They're like, how about lacrosse?
Hold up. That's funny that you say that.
True.
It's funny you say that.
100% true.
Because at Durant, there was actually a running joke of everybody that's on the lacrosse team was made up of the football rejects.
Exactly.
Who all couldn't make varsity.
Yes.
It was all of them.
Yes.
That's a good
why do you
comparison
think why do you think it's kind of an Ivy League sport? It's the white kids that can't play football or don't, feel like they got a shot in football, go play lacrosse.
I mean,
I think rugby is, you could throw that in there as well, because if the black kids started playing rugby, there'd be no white
a lot of A lot of the rules of rugby, though, confuse me.
Like Black is like, I'm not playing rugby. Hell no.
Oh,
them white boys is crazy. Them white boys is nuts. They playing without a helmet. Hell no. I'm going over there. Make me some money.
See, no, isn't rugby the one, though? Because a lot of the rules confuse me. Is that the one, right, where they kind of build that little pyramid or whatever? That's rugby, right?
Yeah, it's called a scrum.
That's the one thing I don't
They
get.
have the scrum
when they're
they
building
come
their little
together.
pyramid.
Oh, the pyramid, the side end or the throw in pyramid where they lift people up and the guy catches it.
Yes, I'm like, what's going on?
I played for like a week and a half with our good friend Guido at Florida State. Maybe it wasn't even that long, because there was just a few practices in where I was like, I'm way too much of a wuss to play this game. I'll just be straight up.
I'm
with
telling you,
those people are psychotic.
Middle school,
they love contact. I was a quarterback. I'm not big
I
on
tell
the
you
contact.
that middle school, high school, when you're taking one of those sports classes, PE, whatever, the best 2 weeks I will say is when you get to rugby day. You get like 2-3 days where you just learn how to the basics, the rules, and then it's like for 7 days straight you're just playing rugby games for an hour. Those are the best days ever.
Yeah, because you can knock the shit out of that person that you've always wanted to hit legally.
Yeah. I found it very fun.
How do they even allow that in high school anymore? Of course, you don't allow anybody to hit anybody in high school.
They used to allow us.
Shocked they allow football anymore.
In middle school, they allowed us to do archery, for crying out loud. You think they're allowing that now? Archery? No
Putting
way.
Bows and arrows in the hands of 13 to 14-year-olds?
No way.
That was never a good idea.
No, that was fun though.
Archery, like with real arrows?
No, not real arrows, but close enough. The whole feeling was like the close enough.
What was it, like electronic?
No.
Well, then were there arrows or it's stuck in a target?
It was probably like, I don't know how to use the terminology here.
With a suction cup at the end of it? What the hell was it?
No, it was like, just think of like what a BB gun instead of a gun. Think of it like that. Instead of the real arrow, whatever the step below that is.
I don't know what that could be.
I don't know what that could be. I don't know.
Did it have a point?
Yeah, it had a point.
Okay, well, it's an arrow.
Yeah.
It goes into a target?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to, I mean, it might kill somebody. Maybe. I don't know.
Expertly placed.
Yeah.
All right. Whatever it is. No, I'm shocked that they would allow that, especially in middle school.
We were wilding on Mulrennan Road.
Wow.
We were wilding.
Damn. No, we didn't. I mean, I went to summer camp for that stuff. Summer camp, they gave you real bows and arrows and guns, 22 rifles. And that fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know,
kids can't even do that.
It's
stuff
funny
anymore.
how you say that.
I bet they don't even have that anymore.
It's funny how you say that because there's a lot of grown men who have pulled out their fake little lightsabers today, and they're wilting them around and acting like they're Darth Vader today. I know.
May the Force be with you.
It's their day. They're all out and about. May the Force be with you.
I have to tread carefully here because my son is
I
very
am
much
treading carefully,
but
though.
he's not into it like he was when he was a kid.
I don't have any.
He's a grown ass man now, but he liked his Star Wars back in the day. When I see grown ass men and adults, dressing up, he's not putting on like a cape and a lightsaber though.
No. There's two types.
You can wear a Star Wars T-shirt.
You can wear the T-shirt
as an adult.
That's fine.
I'll give you that.
That's fine.
But if you're dressing up as a,
it's like when you go to Universal and you go to Harry Potter Land. Listen, I'm going to get my butter beer and get the F out because I don't want to see a bunch of grown men wearing capes and doing little wands and whatever.
I was at Universal a week ago. I saw it all.
Those are the two types of people in this world I don't trust. I don't trust.
A friend of ours works there, and they're like, "Hey, we have this deal where you can get on the Mardi Gras float and go around the park and throw out beads." I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, that sounds fun." It's not like a Gasparilla float where it has kegs on it and an open bar, so you got to bring your own. Wink, wink. So it's kind of fun. So, but we're going through the park and we're throwing out beads, and I'm like looking at these grown, the kids. I'm searching out the kids. Like, okay, you get.
Yeah, take him.
I'm like. You're dressed as Harry Potter. You're a 40-year-old man. Like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? And like, his wife is right there dressed as whatever the Harry Potter woman is. I'm like, they got kids. I got
I
kids.
feel bad for those kids, man.
Like what?
You're just giving them no shot.
You got no shot. No shot.
I'm probably being awful. There are probably some people listening that I might be describing their situation. I don't know, but I don't. Whatever. I don't trust you. I never have seen any Star Wars except one. I went with a couple friends because it was a friendly outing. Went to the movie theater. At least I could kick back in my recliner or whatever. I fell asleep about an hour in. I mean, these movies suck. They're boring. They suck. Melodramatic, just fight scenes. They got nothing on the Marvels. That's for sure. That's for damn sure.
Coming from a dude that loves the superhero movies.
Yeah, but I don't take it.
But the Star Wars movies are childish and stupid.
Listen, you don't see
me. Not the Marvel movies. Not Captain America.
Because I have serious actors playing them, and they take it.
Mark Hamill is not a serious actor?
Mark Hamill.
Are you kidding me?
Pass.
Look at all the stars. Harrison Ford is not a serious actor?
Pass.
Are you kidding me?
Pass.
Look at all the great actors that have been in Star Wars movies.
They're not good movies.
Come on.
They're just not good movies. They have all bark, no bite is what I would call those movies. It seems like it would be good. Darth Vader.
Like, I don't want to
Tampa Feel or whatever his name is. It just seems like it'd be so great. And then you watch it, and it's just like,
I don't want to be the guy that was like defending Star Wars dudes, but the movies are some good stuff. Some good quality sci-fi in there.
I don't know how.
Like I can watch some of those movies.
I don't know how anybody go watch. If you watch the first Star Wars in 1975, I don't know anybody enjoys that.
Well, at the time, that was cutting edge sci-fi stuff. That was like those spaceships. Are you kidding me?
Leave it in the
those
70s.
Freaking spaceships were amazing.
Leave it in the
and then the little fighter jets, whatever the hell you call those things, Jedi fighters. Man, I never got into Star Wars as a kid. I was a little bit older when it came out, but it was like, no. I mean, not the first ones, but it just, I never got into it. But my thing is, if you're a grown-ass man, you're walking around with a lightsaber today. Come on.
Check yourself.
Come on, check yourself. Check your sheet. Check your sheet. Especially the birthday. Check your sheet. That's what I see our numbers of viewers are dwindling here. I think we've offended.
I'm telling you, I'm pointing right at you. I'm pointing right at some of you right now. I know it.
I enjoy some of the movies. I will say this. I have to chuckle at Disney's new Star Wars place. Have you seen the reports of this place and the pictures of the food and stuff? Like this guy was on his social media the other day, some Star Wars like grown-up geek. He's like, oh, it was such a great 2-day stay at the new Star Wars Galactic. Look at the blue shrimp, like blue shrimp. It's coated blue. Like, I don't want to eat a blue shrimp. That's disgusting. It's like, oh, it's intergalactic shrimp. It's blue. No, I don't want to eat freaking blue shrimp.
Intergalactic shrimp.
And they're like showing the combinations. The combinations look like spaceship. Like, I don't want to. If I'm going to pay $7,000 a night, like this guy's bragging about,
intergalactic shrimp.
It's like these 2 bunk beds for the kids in my room for a $7,000 suite. The kids are in my room. Are you effing kidding me? And they're in bunk beds, and the main bed looked like something out of a spaceship, which looks something like out of a penitentiary.
Yeah.
It doesn't look. I want fluffy pillows. I want a big bed. I want big wood things. This is like steel spaceship crap. I'm like, for $7,000 a night? You out of your mind?
The intergalactic.
Like, who spends $7,000 a night to be in a the national championship, I got to go see the women's team play and the men's team. I want to see them both play. Sound like a really, really good team. So good luck, and hopefully you'll get the national championship. All right, we got Rays today at 3:30, right? Tried to beat the A's again, sweep the A's. And, of course, tonight it's Game 2 in Toronto, 7:30 puck drop for the Lightning. We will have full coverage of it tomorrow and snarky comments online tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.